Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Thursday, it's December the 19th. This will be a chart lesson for today. We had a little trend down, reversed, then we had a little trend up. It's really just a trading range day, but there's a nice little channel down and a nice one up. And there were actually a couple of pretty good moves here real early, right around the 7 o'clock area here. Um, but for the most part, this is a range day, and you can see these lows, there was a double bottom here yesterday afternoon, and that held again today. Just go ahead and draw that on there just to show you, so it makes it a little easier to see. You can see that, and then I'd say the highs were right across there like so. And so you can see that the range from about 1796 to about 1804, 1805 area. So it's a large enough range that you can make some money either way. And we just couldn't get through up here. We found, and me and another trader were actually talking about this by email. And what's happening here is that there's strong resistance right here, but yet there's still enough buying that prices won't sell off. And so you just kind of get hung in a little range. And sometimes it'll be tighter like this, but sometimes it's larger. And what this is, the prices have just kind of found equilibrium here. They're trying to get through this resistance area, but there's just too much selling here. But there's not enough selling yet to turn the market. People aren't really selling off, but there's not enough buying to get through here. There's not enough selling to get through here, if that makes sense. It's a little hard to describe, but you know, that's why I'm always telling you, normally if you find a real tight congestion area like this right here, I'll tell you to stay out of it. The one time it might be okay is if it happens, way up here, away from the EMA at a strong resistance area, or way down here at a strong support area. And the reason they're forming is because there's strong support or resistance, and there's not enough buying to get through the highs or selling to get through the lows, but yet there's still enough buying that it doesn't sell off, or there's still enough selling down here that it doesn't reverse. And so it's just kind of an equilibrium area. Is the way I like to describe it. So I hope that makes sense. Don't spend a lot of time thinking about that because it doesn't tell you a whole lot, but I just wanted to mention it because the other trader and I were chatting about it. And what they'll do is they'll actually push prices through like this right here, and they'll buy it just hard as they can to push it through. And as soon as they get it through there, they'll stop the buying, and it reverses quickly, and it traps everybody. And that's kind of what brought on the conversation. He was noticing those traps. And that's all that is they buy it just enough to get it through there, and then they stop. And when I say they, I don't know who they is. It's the traders that can move the market, that have enough buying, or enough traders are seeing it and thinking the same thing. And that's why we don't buy these breakouts. A lot of, I see it all the time. People on the internet, or even in books, saying to buy right here. And, if you buy right here, most of the time you're going to lose. And if you'd have just sold right here both times, easy scalps, and you can see that. And same thing down here. If you just buy down here off the lows, easy scalps. And this is a big enough range where you can buy the lows and sell the highs. And as long as there's enough room, like right here, you could go long. Right here, you probably could have went long. Of course, this isn't the time of day, but just forget that. Assume that we're just talking about during regular hours. You could go short here, short off that one. And those are nice reversal bars that ticked through and created those traps. That's a great short. That's a great short. It was real late in the afternoon, so it was a little bit too late. So, I didn't mark anything really after lunch because it just kind of got hung up here. But I wanted to talk about that briefly for a second. So let me back out, make the bars a little bit bigger. And let's talk about the trades I saw today. The first one was it was about an hour before the open. I was trying to remember exactly. It looks like it set up. You might have thought about going short here, but that is a huge bar, this bar right here. And so if you did go short on this bar right here, you had to use a limit order, and you would have gotten filled all the way back to maybe right in here. which would have been the same thing as if you use a stop, but you can't go short below that bar, so you got to wait on this one. And then once you got a break of it, you could have used the limit order, and you could have got filled all the way back to here. And so you might have even gone short right there. What I'll do is I'll circle that one in green. It's a little too aggressive. You didn't really have your trend line in place yet, at least not really confirmed yet. If you know how to, you know, if you know how to use these median lines, and because there's no way you would have found it off this low here yet, and but you might have found it off these right here. You can see off those closes, and then just moved it up, and then you could have found it. But you got to be a little more skilled to do that, so you may not have found that. So that makes this one even more, without that trend line, that's even a little more aggressive. So that's the reason I didn't really like marking that one. But I'll make it green because there's a little bit of a trap there. It went up once, pulled back, and went up again, and then turned down. And there is strong resistance there. So, but you got a second entry here and a nice reversal bar. Look at that reversal bar. And it ticked higher a couple of ticks and had people thinking it was going long, and it reversed. So it's somewhat of a trap, and you can see how it took off there. That the selling just, I mean, it shot down, and it might have been a little bit of a news event that added to this right here, as the jobless claims came out today. So I'm sure that played a part in this reversal. So you had to be aware of that. But nice move down. That was the move of the day, really. Any runners would have been safe there, and you could have got multiple points out of them. But then you should have definitely had this trend line in place now, and we just pull back and we test it again. Let me explain this one right here. I circled this one in red because the way it's set up, notice you had your high here, and it's close to the trend line, and we pulled back, and then we turned up, and we went higher first, made a little double top right off the trend line, and it turns down, and it breaks out the other side right here. So you could enter on a stop because of the little bit of a trap there. So if you entered right there on a stop, that's a great trade. But if you were weighted on this bar, and when it ended and closed here, and then you had these two inside bars, then you got a little congestion, so it's a little iffy going short then. So if you didn't go short where, based on the little trap and having your stop underneath this bar here, then I probably would have sat tight and waited to see if we got another setup, which we did on a second entry short, counting off that high right there, and I liked it better. And you actually, almost closed on its low. Then it had another bar right off of it, so you could have even done this one and tried to get in with a limit order back, where your stop would have been here. And so I liked waiting on this better, unless you entered the way I just described there, because it kind of became congestion. And the reason we got congestion was similar to what we just talked about a minute ago, is there's too much resistance here, but yet the selling hasn't really picked up enough to turn it around yet. So it takes it a few tries of them trapping some more people, and then suddenly it's off. Then they realize they got trapped right here, and it just rockets back down again. Then you had and notice this, you got like a first entry, pull back, hang on, let me re-explain that. You got one leg down, pull back, a second leg down, and another pull back up here. And so you really tried to go higher here twice. If I'm trying to describe this, this is a little bit complicated. Really, it's the test of twos. Kind of noticed your double top here, and you made a little lower high. You made a lower low, a lower high, lower low, and a lower high. But you tried to go higher here, back to this double top once, and then twice, and it failed. And again, it's off that trend line. And even though that's got one little green tick, I mean, when the bar trades up that high and then gets beat back down that far, and it could have easily just ticked one way or the other at the close, and your bar might even be bearish. So I like that one. I still liked entering that on a stop. Maybe using a limit order there. It wouldn't have mattered. It got filled. They did come back and get the runners, and it just gives you another chance to get in here too. And I like going short again there because you haven't gotten back down to this, to this line, and you're probably thinking your channel line's down in here somewhere by now, and it might actually be right there, and maybe your median line's a little bit lower like so. Um, but it's in there. I think we just really kind of got an overshoot right there for the most part. Uh, and I like the way this is drawn a little better. And this might have actually been a little bit higher here, and that might have been what was bouncing those. And then maybe this one's more like a little tighter like so. And we just got some overshoots down here. So, but anyway, these were all easy to see just based on that trend line. That's all you needed. And then you make a double bottom here, and you got a little trap, and an aggressive trader would probably go long here on this trap. There's plenty of room back to the EMA, but it's a counter trend trade, and I just think, you don't know that you're not going to get a measured leg here. We were real close, but we didn't quite get a measured leg there. You can see that. There was still room, and you don't know that you won't get this move down here to a measured move. So I think it's just really dangerous right there. And normally when it comes back up under and kisses under that median line and turns down, it's going to go lower. I actually had mine drawn a little lower like so, so I saw everything closing above it. But you also had to, either way, you had this support line across here, so that made that look real suspect. So I would be more inclined to go long there than I would short, just for that, because of all that support across there. Especially when you start to get this overlap and all those dojis. Those are all stacked up there. It's just a little congestion area, and again, it's just like what we talked about before. The reason that congestion starts to form there is there's strong support right there, and there's just too much buying right here, and that's why you might consider going long too. There's too much buying here, but yet the sellers haven't given up yet, so you just kind of get hung in equilibrium, and then they make a little trap and it bounces, and everybody realizes, yeah, we're going higher. And you don't know this is going to keep going the rest of the day, because normally you're going to look for a retest here, but maybe this line was a little lower. Maybe I had it wrong, and it's more like that, and we had these closes out, and that does look a little better. And if you draw this down here, and then you get your overshoot here and you overshoot here, it's about a measured move, and you get your trend line break and your move and attempt to a new low. So it may be more like that too, and that would explain why we never got a retest. But they're still tried to bring it down. They just couldn't get back below. We got hung in this. So, but we never got a retest here, and doesn't matter. Prices are now making higher highs and higher lows, and you got to go with that. And you draw your line off those first couple swings there, and you use the closes like I did, and it came into play all the way up through here. And this is just a two-legged pullback, first entry, pullback, second entry, but you got a little trap here. Otherwise, that congestion, and again, there's congestion here because it's a little equilibrium point at a support area. You got the EMA, you got the trend line, but notice you traded down here and broke lower, and then turned back up and almost closed on its high, and then broke above. So I liked going long there. It's a second entry, plus you got the little trap below the little double bottom there. And it takes a lot to trade way down here and be 2 ticks lower and then move all the way back and close above. So that's a good sign. If it would have broken above, I would have just had to stop there. I actually already had to stop there waiting, and it didn't break above until this bar, but I would have been ready to go, already thinking if it comes back, I'm going long right there. So then you get another, and even though this is higher here than here, this is still like a little two-legged correction. It looks close enough. It's probably going to work the same, and you see it does. And so I like that. But even if you didn't go along there was a second entry with these little matching highs. If you went to a smaller chart, you'd see one leg back, a pull back, and you'd see a little break lower and then a turn higher. So you could have entered there as well. And then this is kind of a repeat pattern of this little congestion here, but we're back in the lower side of this this channel here. It's a little median line, and it's one leg back, a move up, a second leg back, and then so that's a second entry long right there. Plus you got that little trap right below that strong support, those matching lows. So I like that long too. And and then we just kind of found this resistance up here. Too many bars at a high. Now this is at a high point, so it's a little bit different. Um, you don't really get a break above here until you've got like your third or fourth bar in a row right there, and you're outside the trend line. So I just think that's kind of that no man's land. And the reason you're finding that resistance there is again what we were talking about is the reason we're getting that congestion there is there's just too much resistance, and you don't want to be going long into strong resistance like that. And again, you know that's there because we had it all up here this morning, and that's that overnight stuff, early morning. It's real important. It usually comes into play. And same thing here, you don't want to be going short down here. You'd rather be going long than you want to be going short off these highs and long off these highs, just for the reasons we talked about earlier. So, and that was what I saw today. Not much else to talk about. The only thing is, um, we didn't really get a retest here, but it may be because of the way I had it drawn, and this actually looks more accurate now, because you see the overshoot here and you get a measured almost exact overshoot here, and then you come up and you break the trend line and you move down and you try to make a new low, but you just really can't get any lower. You make a perfect double bottom and then reverse. And if you did see it that way, then that makes this long even more. It's still a little aggressive, but it makes it much more, it lends more that, hey, I need to be thinking long right here. And so I'm going to go ahead and mark that green because you might have seen it this way. And I wish I'd have seen it more that way earlier because I probably would have taken that long too. But I did. So but that's what I saw today. I hope you had a good trading day. I hope you're getting ready for the holidays. Um, I'm probably going to come in and trade tomorrow, and that's probably going to be it for me through the end of the year. Go ahead and talk about that. So if you don't see any more chart lessons, you'll know why, because I'm taking off through the end of the year. I'll probably come in and do some, I'll get bored and I'll probably come in and just check the charts and see what's happening. And I'll probably, try to do a little work in the premium section, maybe a couple of new lessons in there for y'all, for the premium members. Um, but otherwise, if you don't see anything from me, it's probably because I'm spending some time away and getting refreshed and getting ready for January, because trading will kick back up in January. But it's going to continue to get slower and slower, most likely over the next couple of weeks through the end of the year. And I'm going to be spotty. So if you don't see anything between, again, I'll be in tomorrow, and I'm going to trade tomorrow, and that's probably going to be it for me. And I may come in. It just depends. Like I said, if you don't see any chart lessons, you know why, because I'm on vacation. But if I come in or I get bored and there's nothing going on and the kids are busy and my wife is busy doing something, I can't stay away sometimes. I'm addicted to this stuff. So I may come in. If I do, I may do a chart lesson, but most likely if I do, I'll probably come in and do some more lessons for the premium section is probably what will happen. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for today. Hope you had a good trading day. Hope you've had a good week so far. We'll wrap it up tomorrow, and that'll take us into the Christmas holidays. But I'm going to call it a day for today. So I will see you next time. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com.